billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, most beneficent, most merciful, I bear witness that there is no other God worthy of worship but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the last and final message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, welcome to Islamic Action TV. Islamic Action is here for you, brothers and sisters. For the first time in your history, you got a media perspective that is nothing but 100% truth. You're gonna get it raw and unfiltered. You've been asking for this all your life. You wanted a space somewhere on the internet, somewhere in a book, somewhere in the mouth of your mother and your father, where you knew what you heard would be nothing but the truth. Where you knew what you heard would be blessings, would be what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deemed for you and I. Where you as the black man and black woman, the African man and African woman, the person of hue, the hue man, will be able to access information unavailable to you and I before. We knew that our history was in the manuscripts, but it was taken from us, brothers and sisters. We knew that we were the mothers and fathers of civilization, but we were robbed of that, brothers and sisters. Imagine this knowledge that you have now. You can just press this button, it's right there for you. But can you imagine being in a world where that wasn't available? Can you imagine running around in green pasture and green luster? Can you imagine climbing trees and going to streams and fishing and being put on the shoulders of your dad or your mother and having laughs and jokes with the rest of your family, eating the best of foods? But can you imagine, brothers and sisters, being ripped from the idyllic setting? Having somebody have their dirty, filthy claws grab you, drag you from the pastures of green, grab you down, take you down to the seashore in chains, dragged and beaten, bloody and black boots stomped by a wicked slave master and thrown into the belly of the hole of a ship that was creaking and leaking and full of feces and pus and blood, and being beaten and abused on that very ship of hell for over 9 months to a year, to see fellow people next to you dying in front of you, defecating in front of you, urinating in front of you. Lord have his mercy. And then thinking that that was the worst that could happen, to be then dragged off of that ship of hell and taken to a land that you don't know, a land of bondage, not for 1 year, for 2 years, but for over 400 years, as the Bible says in Genesis, in a land which is not theirs, strangers, for 400 years, and they shall be afflicted with all kinds of affliction, until I myself will send somebody to redeem them. But imagine losing your name, your language, your foreways, your very mind in a brutal system where you were being raped, beaten, bloody. If you even spoke your language, your tongue cut out of your head. Your children being ripped from your breasts. Imagine somebody, because you fought back, would get a horse and tie one leg to one horse, the other to another horse, whip the horses behind and rip you into. It's almost unbearable to think about what we went through, brothers and sisters. The hell of that situation, to know that if a black woman gave birth and rise to a black man that had knowledge of self, this could not be allowed on this plantation of evil. So they would take that same black woman with her big 9-month-old belly, ripe with seed of life, hang her by her thumbs as they took a knife and stuck it in the guts of that pregnant black woman, ripping open her stomach, splitting the skin, cutting deep to the womb, and then pulling out the unborn baby, and then crushing its head into the floor with the black boot heel of the slave breaker. This is what we went through, brothers and sisters, to put the fear of the white supremacist slave master in our hearts. And that's what happened to us, brothers and sisters.